Trent Brandon Rogers, Bradshaw Rogers Financial Partners, and Mind Your Money. We wanted to bring you a market update and actually a reallocation update for the first quarter of 2024. Hope everyone's having a happy new year, and we're going to move forward with making the adjustments in the portfolio and talk a little bit about the Fed again. I know we talk about it a lot, but we definitely need to pay attention to it as we move forward. Let's jump right in. Before we get started with what we're going to talk about today, really 2023, as far as a summary, what came in as a surprise. Growth rates came in the high single digits, which was a surprise. But the market had a very robust year as far as returns, double-digit returns, so did very well. November, December really was the story.
Santa Claus rally, right?
Santa Claus rally again. But when the Fed mentioned that interest rates may hold tight or potentially start to go down in the year of 2024, market got excited, and it brought on exactly what you just mentioned, that Santa Claus rally, to end the year in a positive note.
Yeah, because 22 was pretty miserable, but it was kind of a good rebuild on 23. But we're still not back to the highs.
Well, that's what I was going to point out. We're close to it, but what it did is basically got all the losses of 2022 back. So over a 2-year period of time, the market's pretty much flat. So that's, to put it in perspective, that's what happened. There's a lot of volatility, but at least 23 was a positive year. But let's jump into 24. We've had a lot of questions in regards to, hey, this is a presidential election year. What can we expect during these years? So Brandon and I did a little research, and I'm going to use my cheat sheet here, and I'm going to touch on a few items. If we go back over the last 24 cycles for presidential elections, that takes us back to 1928. When you look at the overall breakdown, we've only had 4 cycles that were negative. So that correlates to an 83% correlation of positive returns during presidential election years. So that's a positive for 2024, I believe. Even though we're worried about the Fed, we're worried about what they're going to do with interest rates, we're worried about inflation, is there a possible slight or mild recession coming? Statistically, in this year, the markets seem to do pretty well. The other thing that I'll touch on is this. If a Republican is elected during an election cycle based on history, the market has returned an average of 15.3% in that given year of the election. Democrats, on the other hand, 8.5%. But if you average the two, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 11 to 12%. I don't think anyone would be disappointed with that for 2024 returns if we got that. But in addition to that, if you look at it for what we've got right now, like I said, 83% correlation of positive returns during election years going back nearly 100 years. If we have a Democrat in office and a Democrat is reelected, the actual average return has been 15%. And if we look at a Democrat in office, which we have now, and it's replaced by a Republican coming into office, that return has been 12.9%. So any way you spin the statistics associated with an election year, it looks really, really good statistically.
I know we use these same statistics when we were looking at when Biden was elected initially, right? And I mean, nobody likes change, and those are major changes. So some of the statistics, if I get the word out, that we looked at last time actually happened. So based on saying, hey, what was the first, second, third year look like of his presidency versus the market returns, and those historical projections were spot on. So.
Yeah, we've had some discussions. Did the Fed help us in that manner in 2023? Absolutely. They started getting a little bit more lenient on interest rates. Market loves that. If there's some predictability on what's going to happen with inflation, the market usually pre-runs that. So it gives us an idea of what the market's thinking well before the economy turns, because the market, again, seems to front run any of that news. Yep. So jump in, let's talk a little bit about history in regards to longer term, in regards to bull and bear markets, and then we'll talk about the portfolios.
So, this chart kind of really speaks for itself. It's a very good visual. That's why we wanted to talk about it. But this goes back to 1942 to basically 2023. What you're looking at here is bull market versus bear markets, right? So bull markets when the market is bullish, right? You're going up, right? Bears when it's going down, okay? So if you just take a look at this timeline across, the bulls win, hands down, right? Now, the bears do happen, and a lot of fear comes with that as well, but we know they're going to happen, just don't know exactly when. I mean, people have been calling for a massive, I remember in 2008, shortly after the financial crisis, their analysts were calling for major downturns, and it took a long time for something to happen, right? So again, we know they're going to happen, just not really sure when and how long, but you just look at this chart historically. Bull market lasts on average 4.2 years, an average cumulative return of 148%. Bear market lasts about 11.1 months with an average loss of 31%. So again, luckily those are short time frames, but after every major correction that you see here, you really had a much stronger recovery. So it's pretty strong.
Well, to touch on that, and you mentioned this statistic before, in any given market year, top to bottom fluctuations, 14%. It could go up 7%, lose 7%, but a 14% adjustment is the norm.
Yeah, and that's why we can't make knee-jerk reactions during the year, when something bad happens. So.
Well, with all this data and what we're interpreting, what's happening this year, we know the Fed's probably going to hold on interest rates for a while. Potentially, they've got priced in potentially 3 cuts this year of 0.75% total. That would be a huge push forward for the market if that were to occur. Market loves liquidity. But all that being said, are we still playing a little caution within the portfolios? Explain that a little bit.
Still playing caution in the portfolio. Again, we got a little over half of it hedged right now. So again, we're still participating if the market goes up, but we also want to protect on the downside.
But that doesn't mean we're protecting against no losses. That's just cushioning if the market gets bad.
Exactly.
We've got some hedges in there to give us a little cushion.
Yeah, so those are the changes that we're going to be making here today, and looking, just closely monitoring throughout the quarter and throughout the whole year, obviously, right? And then we're going to lean back on history. I go when emotions of powerful emotion, or fear is a powerful emotion, right? So we got to keep that in perspective, and then look at how the presidential race is going, because historically, the data's there. So
well, and we're still concentrating on staying domestic rather than international, and more larger cap than small mid cap right now.
Yeah.
That may change based on the Fed's language, and if it does, we'll make adjustments in the portfolio. But right now, the hedge is for about 50% of the portfolio. I think we're in good shape.
Yeah. So again, got any questions, feel free to let us know. But again, we're constantly going to stay on top of this, keep you up to date with the videos, and monitor the accounts as always every single day. So again, thanks for joining us. Brandon Rogers and Trent Bradshaw with Mind Your Money and Bradshaw Rogers Financial Partners. Take care.